I will start with this.
Camera speeding. Hey, Jake, if you could please say your name and outlet and begin, please.
Cool. Jake Hamilton, Good Day Chicago. Mr. Snyder, an honor to see you again, sir. How are you?
Jake, how you doing? There you go.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Seriously, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate you. You know, as I watched this movie, I kept thinking about a young Zack Snyder seeing Star Wars for the first time. So I want you to take me back to that moment. What about that first experience seeing that movie as a kid most influenced you on the set of Rebel Moon? And what is a decision you made deep down on this set that you know deep down in your soul was actually made by the kid who saw Star Wars for the first time?
You know, the movie, Star Wars itself, there's so many iconographic moments that really kind of make you, that set you on a path, whether it be Luke looking at the twin suns on Tatooine, whether it's like referencing, you know, Bonsai and Womp Rats with his T-16.
It's not impossible. I used to bullseye Womp Rats in my T-16 back home. They're not much bigger than 2 meters.
Whatever it is, all the kind of like sort of big world stuff that you feel inside of it. When those X-Wings drop into the trench, you know, you're really in a rarefied air, like something I'd never seen. That was probably the moment that it locked in, and probably the decision that was made back then that stayed, probably the opening shot, the tilt down off the planet down, you know, probably something like that was like left over from that experience pretty obviously.
Well, then I kind of want to flip the script. So a young kid today, a future filmmaker, sits down and watches Rebel Moon, 300, Watchmen, Man of Steel. What do you hope they take away from that experience from your films that might influence what kind of filmmaker they become in 10, 20, 30 years?
I think if there's anything consistent in my movies, the sort of shot making, the sort of attention to sort of creating a world through single frames, you know, that's a thing that I really have enjoyed doing over the course of my career so far. I would hope that, you know, some filmmaker from the future would see the movies and at least feel like, you know, they were obligated to try their best to kind of create some sort of opera, visual opera, you know, that's what I kind of am turned on by, so that's cool.
Well, speaking of that, you know, I honestly really do think you are the master of slow motion. Some of the greatest slow motion moments in movie history belong to you. I'm sort of curious, how do you decide whether or not a moment is worthy of slow motion? And I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you, what is your favorite slow motion moment you've ever shot in your entire career?
What warrants it is always, that's a bit of a movable feast. I'm not 100% locked into any sort of hard and fast rules. There are certain moments that are philosophically slow motion, so they end up being slow motion. But, you know, normally, you know, I do like sort of the physicality of the actors. And so sometimes to accentuate that, I really like to rely on slow motion. The sort of greatest and coolest slow motion moment that I can remember shooting, there's a lot. You know, whether it's the comedian out the window in Watchmen or Leonidas Charge in 300. The difference is photosonics nowadays. You know, I used to have 360 was the max in film, and now it's like, you know, 1200 or something frames per second. So much slower, slow motion is possible.
I was just going to ask really quickly, you know, so many films in your filmography share the theme, that DNA of I can't do this alone, and we have to have a team if we're going to survive. So I was wondering, what are the most important lessons when you look back on Dawn of the Dead and 300 and Watchmen and Justice League, the DNA that you found yourself allowing to influence Rebel Moon when you started to put pen to paper and put that team together?
Yeah, I think the sort of thematic thing that resonates through all the movies is this desire to, through a team, create a family, you know, and through a team, find a home that where you belong, you know. I think most of the characters are on some sort of cathartic journey in all those movies. And I think that in the end, what they hope for is what we all hope for, is to find a place where we belong and where we're appreciated and revered, and where the people that we love and respect are you know, at our sides.
Well, you are appreciated and revered in my home, sir. Seriously, thank you for giving me some of the greatest cinematic moments of all time. I always love talking with you, and thank you for always being so kind to me. I appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.
Good to see you, buddy. Bye,
Cheers.
guys.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.